Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GPU podcast, Gamers Process Universe. And I'm here, joined by Shane.
Hello.
Oh, nothing extra this time?
No, I mean, they know who I am, right? I
Yeah,
introduced myself last time.
yeah, fair enough. So today, our show, we got a few extra things coming in that are more unique for us this time. First off, Minecraft Steve came out this last week into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and we'll be discussing his new movesets, how we like him, how we don't like him, certain aspects about the character that's still a little weird.
Spoiler
Then
alert, I have mixed feelings.
Shane has mixed feelings. I personally enjoy the character, but we'll get more into that. Horror is the next topic of the discussion. We mentioned that we talked about this last week, and we're delivering on that promise. So, what is horror? What is it to us? What is it involving just in general time of year and how people really get into it? Because this is spooky month, Halloween.
Why is it
Finally,
seasonal, and why is that weird?
indeed. Finally, we will discuss Titanfall 2 and how me, Jordan, and Shane all desire a third one because, gosh dang, it is a good game. Its mechanics are clean, and we need it. Unfortunately, there's many things that fall into why that's probably not a thing. Finally, if we have the time, Ben and Shane will lead us into the old 3D platforms of our childhoods and how those correlate.
Should be fun.
All right, let's bring in our guests.
Move here.
Oh, hello.
There we are.
Hey, all right,
Just as
everyone.
we were discussing.
Introduce yourselves. Jordan, go ahead and start us off since you were in last time.
Oh, why do I gotta go first?
Because you were in last time.
All right. Hi, I'm Jordan.
What's up? I'm Ben.
I like flowers.
You like
Alright.
flowers?
Yeah, flowers are nice.
What kind of flowers?
Lilies. Lilies are a nice flower.
I'm more of a lilac man myself.
Who are you people?
Are you telling me you've never smelled lilacs before?
They all smell like, general flower smell to me.
No. Lilacs have like a nice
Look,
calming
Shane,
scent to them.
if that's surprising to you, I can tell you my favorite genre of anime.
Is
Romance.
it magical girl?
No, it's romance anime.
Okay.
Yeah.
I assume you steam
Everyone's got
Toradora.
interesting things.
We had topics that we were gonna
Shane,
talk
I've
about,
seen-
and we derailed it all for flowers. Let's go, boys.
Yep, let's go back
There's
on
the
topic. There's a
there's the
point
intro
of... There's a reason why the podcast is the way it is. We are going on to topic. All right, first topic.
Never.
Jordan, unfortunately, you don't have a whole lot of experience with this, but you can still weigh in as you like. So,
Well,
first topic is...
No. I see. My point on this one is I'm the outside view on how weird it is.
Okay, yeah, fair
'Cause
enough.
I remember you saying earlier you wanted someone to comment about it that had never played him or done anything with it. So
Yeah,
Jordan is the person that doesn't have a horse in the race.
I am the control in this social experiment we call game.
Oh, I broke my headset.
And with that said, let's jump into it. So first topic, Minecraft Steve. I'm just gonna say it. I like the character. I like how all his actions are very different. I like how he plays different than most people. His kit's very unique in that aspect. I will say it's a little odd some of his animations they have for him. But it holds to what he was in his game, and I'm a zombie main, so I play the way I play. And
I don't think anyone here is gonna like disagree with you because I mean, come on, it's Sakurai. Sakurai who does like, he's the guy who will literally do the smallest things just to make people happy. Like that guy, he knows how to make characters. So like, of course he's gonna be a good character.
He made each stage unique to what can be mined.
Yeah, the dude is cracked out of his mind. Like he decides, oh, I'm just gonna change literally every stage just to make room for one character. Like who does that?
Plus, Block Kirby is adorable.
Yeah, well, yeah. As a Kirby main, I mean.
Oh my god, I forgot that Kirby eats people.
I actually have a question about that.
What?
Kirby just usually copies whatever the B move is of the person he absorbs.
Right.
But Steve's move is just mining for stuff. So what does Kirby do?
He mines and then he builds. Yeah, he can build blocks.
He literally
That's it?
He can stall in the air for like indefinitely.
Yeah, all of a sudden he has like infinite stall.
So he can just place blocks basically.
Pretty
Yep.
much.
It's not really an attack, it's more like a maneuver.
It's a
Yep.
utility thing.
Okay.
I mean, I
But
think
yeah.
it's pretty good, but I don't really play against Steve online too much as Kirby.
So that's my thoughts on it. Shane, you're the opposite end of the spectrum to a certain degree. What are your thoughts?
I wouldn't say opposite, just sort of middling. Like if you're all the way to I love this, I'm somewhere. I'm exactly basically in the middle of I love it and I hate it.
You can take it
Um,
or leave it.
So it's like you're pure neutral.
yeah, like I appreciate what Steve is in terms of Hall of Fame gaming, as well as the work that Sakurai and his team put into putting Steve in the game. Like kudos to that, seriously. And he is very unique, and I even enjoy playing him. But he just feels,
Wrong.
yeah. I mean, he feels right as a when he plays as a character, but he feels wrong in terms of not really fitting in with the cast of
He
Yeah,
looks
I
characters.
get
odd
that.
on the title screen.
Yeah, I
Let's
get
just
that. Like
establish that.
you see the picture of this person versus Steve, and it just doesn't fit.
And you
Yeah,
would think that other ones don't fit too, like Snake and Bayonetta, but even those, I don't know, somehow they work in my brain. But Steve just kind of
He's made of
breaks it for
squares. He's made of
yeah.
squares. Of course he doesn't fit.
I will say this as an outside opinion from someone who like has next to no time in Smash Bros. When you all told me Minecraft Steve was going to be put into it, I was a bit flabbergasted. I was just like, that doesn't make any sense.
It feels like a joke.
Yeah.
It does, because if you look at the genres of the other games these characters have come from, none of them even come close to what Steve's is.
If you want my opinion, I feel like a better character that would have fit the exact same way would have been the Terraria character. Like you would have had so many more designs. Like, and I'm not bashing on anyone who does like Steve, but like he has way more weapons, way more armors, abilities, and he really could function the exact same way.
In all fairness, they don't even incorporate Steve's whole possible kit into the game, though. He doesn't even use his bow. Like,
Or
I mean,
potions.
huh?
Or potions.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
potions, no bow, no trident. Like,
No, I'm not saying
also his ultimate. Like, what if his final smash ability was instead of like the House of Boom? What about an Ender Dragon just wrecks your face?
nah, the House of Boom fits better.
Plus,
mean,
the
it's
Ender
great,
Dragon
but
is the bad guy of Minecraft. That would be like if Samus's Final Smash was summoning Ridley.
Yeah.
Which would honestly be funny if Samus was fighting Ridley and summoned Ridley to beat up Ridley.
But
That
it
would be
just doesn't make
Fit.
sense, which
Yeah, it
is
really
kind
does.
of where we go back to Minecraft Steve being a problem.
Yeah. That's
my point with the Terraria, yes, I've seen gameplay of it, and though I've not played it myself, I have a lot of respect for the game. But when you get down to it, it's not Minecraft. Minecraft has its place and it deserves its place here because it is the most selling game of all time.
No, I'm not disputing that fact at all. The fact that Minecraft alone has a great selling point and it's by far one of the most influential games of my age, it definitely had a spot. However, if we're talking about does it fit in the actual roster, it's a bit weird, which is why I would suggest a Terraria character who looks a little bit more fleshed out and not completely made of cubes would probably make a better character fit.
Then again, Terraria is a 2D sprite, whereas Steve is 3D.
Exactly, but that Shane, Game and Watch.
Game & Watch, I feel, is the exception to the rule for all of this.
Ice Climbers.
That's true. They did kind of entirely redesign Ice Climbers and Pit back in Brawl.
Exactly. I mean, I
I,
might be crazy, but I'm not that crazy.
I would also argue that as someone growing, like, we're all speaking as people who are in our 20s. Like, we play
Yes.
Smash Bros, but we are not the target demographic of this game. This
At this
game,
point, does Smash Bros even have a target demographic?
well,
All
it
people
does in
really
the
buy
sense
the
that
game.
it's a fighter T-rated game, so it's
Yes.
still rated for teens. It's rated for kids, and I'm just gonna go out there and say this as kids who own consoles. Majority of them will have played Minecraft over playing Terraria.
Oh
So
no,
it's also a recognition in that sense.
like that makes sense as well. Like I'm not arguing that. It's just he does. I do kind of agree with Shane. He's a little bit strange.
I
It's
think
I don't
they
think
could
that
have.
recognition thing is super important because
Bayonetta.
uh,
Sales.
what kid that cares about Minecraft knows who Terry is?
Yeah, that's something to be said. There's two sides of this. One is Smash Bros is basically a Hall of Fame to gaming to a certain degree.
It is
And
the Oscars of gaming, yeah.
and let's be honest, if this game is marketed towards quote children, why did they include Bayonetta?
That's because it's the
But
winner of the
definitely need
E.
a character for children. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, there is
I,
no.
I was so curious about this forever, but it's because she won the EU vote. She was the most popular character by a landslide in the EU.
You're
I
darn
know,
right
but
she
like
is.
exactly, but
So
that
I
that also proves that the demographic for the game is not children.
you don't have
It's
to be a child
available
to
to
play.
children, but it's not squarely aimed at them.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
censored at least a little bit of Bayonetta's, issues in those regards
I
for
I would
children, but the
I would say
demographic not is exactly children.
the one thing they could have done is maybe take something from Minecraft Dungeons into the character design, because I feel like the Minecraft Dungeon character design has a certain like lighting and appearance to it that would have made it look more in line with the Smash Bros lighting and design aesthetics.
I mean, I
It's
don't know too much about Minecraft Dungeons, so I cannot confirm or deny these facts.
it's just, to me, like they're the same block, they're the same type of art style, but one has a different lighting dynamic to it than the other, and I
So
think
quick little injection here. According to the old Google machine, the target audience for Smash Bros. Everybody.
Makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
There's
okay,
little
games
bit
from
of
fair enough.
everything
new,
for
there's
everybody.
games from old, there's games that don't make sense, and there's games that just you haven't heard in years. It's just for everyone, which is why I'm not against Steve being in the game.
And on rare occasions, it's not even really in a game, such as Rob.
Exactly.
Fair enough. Yeah,
Like,
Rob is
like,
the odd one.
and let's be honest, like, how many people here really played the game and watch games?
Very
do
true.
I played them when I was a kid. It was like a
I
Mario themed Game and Watch, and I played the crap out of that game. I
I played the
loved it.
precursors of Game and Watch,
Arcade
which
games?
no, so the handheld like football game. You know what I'm
Mm,
talking about?
the
Like
ones
the
they used to sell
really
at Burger King.
Wasn't it called
well,
something like Tiger Electronics or?
something like that. But I'm actually talking about legitimately. My dad has like an ancient one from the 80s. That's like
Oh.
a handheld football pixel game. Like those are yes. So showing our age, because let's be honest, kids nowadays would not even give a crap about these games whenever they came out at McDonald's. But
I
you
didn't
guys
care to give
remember,
a crap about them when I was a kid and they came out at McDonald's.
but they
It's true.
okay. Look at it from the perspective of someone who never had video games growing up. I liked them. They were like an easy thing to have as a video game, and I would play them for hours on end sometimes, and I had like ridiculous scores in them because as a kid who did not have access to video games all the time, it was my only video game.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
if you're constantly dehydrated, obviously you're gonna like a couple sips of water.
that is true.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I grew up fairly lucky. My dad, he was a nerd even before I was born. I think it was like a wedding gift. Someone gave him like an NES.
Oh
So
my
one of my
goodness.
first memories is actually playing the original Mario. Like, and now I pretty much know where every hidden item is.
Well,
I'm pretty much the same.
I
Mhm.
loved that.
wait, really, Shane?
Yeah, the first video game I ever remember playing is an NES at my grandma's house.
Was it because of your family or was it because of your brother?
I mean, it was at my grandma's house.
Yeah, I'm just curious because like I could see why with your brother growing up and everything, like he'd be the head start for video games. Like I was the head start for my brother for video games,
We
but
also
my
went
parents
to
weren't.
we also went to a family friend's house a lot, and he was huge into gaming, so that's all we really did when our parents got together to play cards and stuff. Is we would play video games with them or watch them play video games.
Makes sense.
Fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, I
I
feel like we've gotten off topic on this a little bit. Just finishing remarks on Minecraft, Steve, unless someone has a different point they want to talk about on him, because honestly, there's a lot that is like he was controversial. That's the crazy thing. Like people were very happy or very angry when he came in.
Well,
Yeah.
was there speculation of a different character people were really looking forward to that was
Yeah.
gonna
See,
come in?
Yeah, there was. People really
There's a-
wanted Crash.
Yeah, a lot of people were really speculating a lot of options in this. And the thing is, like, I think we've almost hit the point in the Smash Bros. Where people are more fearing the next character than they're looking forward to it.
I'm against that. I kind of live along the lives of just like, whenever I hear that next announcement, I'm like, here we go. Let's get things rolling. And I'm just excited for whatever comes out.
I mean, I don't get me wrong, as a person who just plays Smash Bros. And like many of these games I've never touched, I'm all for a new character. But I just know I've like talked to a person or two here or there that are just like, I really don't know how I'm gonna feel about this next character. Like they're on the edge of they're like, is this gonna be good? Is this just gonna be another shill out? Like, frankly, we have Byleth and we have Corrin, and we didn't need either of those Fire Emblem characters.
Well, actually, I'd actually like to pros and interjections to that. I think Byleth actually fits. Granted, I'm not a huge
She,
Fire Emblem person, but considering a lot of the people I've actually played games with, like played Smash Bros. With, they actually like Byleth's moves.
I
Because
no, well,
I feel like
to,
the
to,
release date is the one that gives you hype, but the character's move set and like how they work kind of determines how they fit as a Smash Bros. Character.
to be fair, I would agree full-heartedly with like when Corrin came out. I loved Corrin. Corrin was the first, in my opinion, of a Lancer class in Smash Bros. He had a different range than most characters in the game.
Yeah, and Shane would kick my butt every single time we'd play. That down air was
Good
brutal.
times. Good times.
Yeah.
It's so good. But the reality is, we have so many Fire Emblem characters where people were really hoping for another third-party character.
I mean, I agree with that. In honesty, the release of Byleth probably was one of the least liked characters, like release trailers almost ever. And I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie, when I was
yeah.
watching it, I was not pleased myself. But it was, it's kind of like I didn't like it, but the people who did like it got what they wanted.
Yeah, that's
Because
and
I've started
honestly, it was a good game that she had. Like Fire Emblem Three Houses is a very big game for the Fire Emblem series.
exactly, and it's just kind of what we deal with. But
I should really give Fire Emblem a shot.
yeah, Enrico's been telling me to play it all the time.
I've played the older ones and I enjoyed the crap out of them.
I enjoyed the one
I
I
would
played.
imagine you would, Jordan, because it's real-time strategy for a lot of it.
Well, it's more turn-based.
It's
The
it's
older
tactical
ones.
turn-based.
Well, it's still
I don't
more
know about
Jordan's
the new
favor
ones
then.
if they've changed, but yeah. No, I enjoyed the old ones quite a bit. I just don't have a console or anything that can play them.
Going back to something real quick, and we'll finish off with Minecraft too, because if we want to talk about this more, we can talk in another podcast briefly of our continued thoughts on him. But
I get you.
his move kit, he may have odd animation, he may look weird in the game, but man, it is so much fun to like. He's one of those that you will get destroyed because he's that ridiculous. And I honestly am looking forward to seeing like down the road in a tournament like Minecraft Steve in the championships.
Yeah, there's some really funny things you can do, like the fact that you can build off stage and just smash attack off stage. That's pretty funny.
Or catching people in the minecart, which is awesome.
Oh, I hate that so much. I've
It
gotten
just
caught by that so many times it just infuriates me.
it just sounds painful.
It's just it catches because if you shield it, you get caught. If you don't shield it, you get hit by the cart. It's just evil.
It's a really simple thing. You jump over it.
Well, yeah, but
It's easy
if
for
you
you
don't
to say, man. Some of us
punish,
can't jump that well.
not to mention sometimes it comes at an angle.
Yeah, that's fair. But I just think his kit is like one where he can camp you if he wants, or he can just, if you play him right as the character, you just get to destroy people. You just get to be like walking in and be like, and I'm going to grab you now, launch you over, and like he has weird combos. Like he can just jump midair and have his jump again because he built a block. And
Yeah,
now he can just keep on sword comboing something. It's
yeah, I agree.
fun
That kind of
abilities.
stuff's hilarious. Like that's good character design.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm always excited for when people are always talking about the next character. It's always fun to be like, all right, what's this madman gonna do next?
Yeah. Shane, your thoughts on his playstyle? I know you're middle ground, and I'm curious about it.
Yeah, I appreciate the attention to detail on incorporating such a weird character into a totally different game. but at the same time, the moveset doesn't feel that good to me, honestly. Like
Yeah.
I'm not good at it. The skill floor seems super high. The floor seems more like a ceiling, and the ceiling seems more like
A sky.
an atmosphere.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he can build, so he can build up to his skill ceiling.
There was I guarantee he's not the kind of character that I'm going to main after playing him a couple times. Like, don't get me wrong, he's hilarious and he's a lot of fun, and I'll play him to like mess around. But how Minecraft Steve is kind of like how I am with Pac-Man, where he's really complex if you get down to it, and I'm not at the skill level to be proficient at that level.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not
I
willing to put the time in to get better at him, basically.
kinda. I
I'd rather
mean,
just stick with the characters I like because I already like, at least 10 other characters.
yeah, I can
Yeah,
literally
well,
I can 2v1 my friends as King Dedede, but I can barely 1v1 as Steve.
I think in all fairness, like I haven't played Steve besides the time that we all played together, really,
Same.
and I want to see how he goes against different characters, because I've seen YouTubers play him, and like they're destroying other characters, but they're also YouTubers that play Minecraft for a living, so they're able
Minecraft
to do.
or Smash Brothers?
Oh, well, actually, they've done both, but Smash Brothers for a living, majority of the time.
Yeah.
Um, man, that's a hard thing. It's just, yeah, it's an odd thing. But the point I'm trying to make is, I think I like his kit. I like playing as his kit. Playing against you guys, I may not have won a lot of the time, but the stocks I got were just fun to take, which I think is a really big aspect of why I like characters the way they are. One of my favorite characters to play as is Piranha Plant for the reason of, yeah, I'm gonna hit you with the spiky ball, and guess what? It's gonna hit you when you don't expect it, and it's great.
It is
And
pretty funny. Like, I was playing with my friends last night, and I would always just kind of let the ball hover and watch them just get hit by it. My friend was really annoyed by it because he was like, "Oh, it's not worth it," and then in my mind, I'm just laughing hysterically.
I am not gonna lie, I've taken hits as Piranha Plant just to let the spiky ball fall on the person that hits me.
I mean, yeah, that's what you do. You just kind of hold it there, and if they don't come towards you, you throw it at them.
Yep. So that's where I'm like at Minecraft Steve. I can throw the cart. I can set up amazing TNT moves. I can get off stage with the blocks. The only thing that's annoying with him, and this is the thing that everyone
Electra.
like is, yeah, the Elytra sucks.
Yep, not a fan of the Elytra.
It's such a bad up B recovery, and I mean, it's in all fairness that makes him a more balanced character because really, he's really powerful on and off stage anywhere around ledges. So
Yep.
to give him the reverse effect where he's basically a glass cannon, if you knock him off in return for him trying to keep you off stage, he's going to have trouble getting back up. And I can respect a character design that has that, but that's the part I'll have to learn a lot of. And I think he will be maybe not my main, but he'll be in my upper echelon of characters to play as.
Yeah, I think I'd actually argue otherwise about the Electra. While it's very weird, it's probably a really good recovery, but just for the fact that if you are anywhere on the stage, like if you are on the top part off stage versus like the middle off stage, you can get back to the stage with the Electra. It's only when you're down low, like if you're trying going for like a spike or
Okay.
something and you're a little
Yeah.
too low, then it makes it a little really difficult to recover. But that's
It
why
also
they
has a
have
very
block.
strong directional change up. So yeah, I suppose the trade-off is that you have lots of options for recovering upper, but you have less options for lower.
I mean, I think at that point it's a good recovery. It's just maybe I'm bad at it.
That I think everyone's bad at it in my experience of watching videos and also us playing. So,
Yeah.
all right. With that, we can close out Minecraft Steve and his entry into the Smash Bros. Franchise. Which, whether you like it or hate it, it's still a great game, and we got another really good, fun character kit to play as.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree.
All right, moving on. Shane, I'm gonna let you take point on this one because this was your topic you suggested.
Right. So my topic was about horror, basically, and how it's weird that it's a seasonal thing and people will dive into it specifically in the month of October, generally, mostly. I mean, there's obviously exceptions, but so like I want to say 3 years ago, I played through Outlast over the week or so of Halloween. I'm not entirely sure about dates, but
Yeah.
um and I really enjoyed it. And the only reason I was motivated to play it was because I wanted to get it done around Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what the connection there is, but 2 years later, which was last year, I suppose,
Yeah.
I played through Dead Space 1. Great game. I had been meaning to play it for literally 4 years. Finally got motivation to do it on Halloween. And obviously I didn't play the whole thing in one day. It took like 7 sessions over the next couple weeks after Halloween too, but great game. Glad I played it. I would recommend it to anybody who can deal with the squeamishness. And
Good
that brings
old
us to
necromorphs.
this Halloween season where I'm playing through Dead Space 2. Again, great game. I'm super glad I'm playing it. But I don't know. It's always around Halloween where I get the motivation to play it, and it's weird because it's just a season. It's just a time of the year. And this really goes for any seasonal thing, like Christmas music only around Christmas.
Okay,
If
but
it's
like
not
that's a
around,
different. Let's not get into that because I got a whole issue with that.
Well,
that's a
yeah.
podcast for a later date.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm guessing.
okay,
So
just to interject on that Christmas topic, it's like, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna sing a song about a specific thing, you want to be around that thing. So, like, I'm not gonna sing about, you know, Christmas whenever it's July. Like, we're not even close. I'm not gonna make my cherry chip cookies in July because it's not seasonal.
also with the
Okay,
pumpkin
maybe
space lattes, like let's be real, what the heck? Starbucks figured out how to capitalize on Spooky Month, and they just go with it.
that was
Exactly.
actually my next point of contention. I guess music would have been a bad example because it's so closely tied specifically to the Christmas mythos,
Yes.
but something like pumpkin spice latte, that doesn't necessarily have to be around fall. There's no pumpkin in it until they
Well,
added it specifically because people were like, "There's no pumpkin in this. What the heck, man?"
Please
well,
let me
I mean,
contend this. What about eggnog? Like I love eggnog, and it has to only be during Christmas time. I have issues with this, so I'm with you, Shane, on like why does pumpkin spice latte have to be during this October time frame?
well, for
I'm
the
not
eggnog problem, all you need to do is just make your own eggnog. I mean, that's boom, problem solved.
Boom.
I'm not even
Fair
100% sure what eggnog is.
Disgusting. That's what it is.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it, but hold on, I think I know what it. Let me look it up. What it is.
All right. Well, he looks that up. Continue horror discussion.
So anyway, I mean, these games are not just good during the month of October. They're good whenever you want to play them.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So it's just weird to me that the motivation comes specifically because of Halloween.
It's. I think I understand what it is. So Halloween is, the designated American spooky month, and through that we usually get a lot of inspiration to do like horror games, horror movies, and I understand it's a bit strange, but it doesn't have to be a seasonal thing. Like
Exactly, it
I
doesn't.
think one of my favorite YouTubers, every once in a while, he'll always post a 3 scary games video, and it'll usually be 40 minutes of just scary games that are kind of like indie scary games on like different platforms, and it's just really cool.
I know exactly what YouTuber you're talking about, and he made his whole career off of playing scary games, though.
Exactly.
He's not like a normal
PewDiePie?
person. No, Markiplier.
Oh,
He
okay.
he's
Oh,
not
yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
he's not like a normal person who doesn't usually play horror games, but feels motivated to around a holiday. It's his whole job, basically.
Well,
Well, no, he doesn't play scary games a lot anymore unless it's the 3 scary games.
He used to, though.
Oh no, he used to because that's what he was famous for.
now let's look at this from the opposite perspective of I hate horror or anything. My imagination's vivid enough without those images in my head. Five Nights at Freddy's is borderline for me already. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I will only play that game if there was ever a point where we had a YouTube channel that was popping off like no tomorrow. Like, and that was our millionth subscriber. Like, yeah, I'll play that, and you can see my face and my terrible reactions as I get jump scared to death.
So you'd play it purely for the content, but not for your own enjoyment.
Exactly. There's no way I would ever like. The only things about Halloween or like this time of year that I enjoy is the changing of leaves, the corn mazes, and I guess if you're gonna say like I enjoy horror or something, it's maybe a haunted house because like I can talk my way through a haunted house and it's not that scary. Like
See,
it,
here's
it
my,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, here's my opinion on the horror stuff of seasonal. I don't mind it being seasonal. I also don't mind playing or watching horror movies or games and stuff like that outside of the season. The thing with horror that I don't like is jump scares because it just feels cheap to me. It feels like you're going for one quick boom, scary, and then you're done. I like the type of horror stuff that grabs you from the beginning, drags your face through mud and dirt, and makes you feel absolutely horrified, and then at the end, there is no happy ending. It's just utter fear. That
Gosh.
is the
I
good type
think
of horror to me.
I think that's good, but I think in horror things at all, you should have at least one jump scare, not like a cheap one, but actually a well executed one that like maybe involves you in the story or something.
Yeah,
But
good jump scares are fantastic, but when they're
yes,
just cheap and you're just like you full on like in some like Shane's been playing Dead Space, and some things in Dead Space you're just looking in the situation, you're like, something's gonna jump out at me, and then it jumps out and you're like, ah, okay. Still frightening because it's just sudden and it's jarring, but you kind of knew it was coming. The ones
yeah,
that are unexpected and just come out of nowhere, those are great.
and I wouldn't call myself a horror connoisseur, but every time we make tacos in this place, we're always watching horror films, hence the name Talk Horror Night. And honestly, I will watch horror films like religiously. They are really good pieces of film, which they do have their flaws. But when it comes to games, I guess the reason I don't play scary games all that much is because in movies, the control I do not have the control. The
Yeah.
film's
Mm.
already been made. I have no interaction with the thing that's on the screen. However, in horror games, if I walk forward, at some point I'm going to get jump scared. Like similar to what happened with Shane, I also played Shane let me play Outlast 2 years ago, whenever we used to live together. And gonna say, great game, really quality. But I still remember the first jump scare of the dude on a meat hook.
Yup.
Oh gosh.
I don't know if we still have that clip, but I'm just going, oh boy.
I'm not sure that footage exists anymore.
Ah, dang it. But I had a pretty good reaction. But the I also liked that game because again, I did not have control on those types of jump scares. The types of jump scares I had was when I got caught by people because of my own mistakes.
Mm.
Now, flip over to a game similar to Welcome to the Game. I have not been able to play through this game because it gives me the illusion of control. The jump scares are if I mess up something, and I cannot handle that. It's weird. Like if you take away all if you give me 100% of the control, it makes it very difficult for me to actually that's what gives me fear.
Mm.
It's
So
kind of
what?
hard to
So what if you play a horror themed game, but you have more control over what happens, such as Dead Space, where you have guns and weapons? Because you've talked about Outlast and Welcome to the Game, where if you get jump scared, that's basically death.
Yeah.
That's the game over state.
Hmm.
In Dead Space, jump scares are like enemies appearing out of somewhere where you didn't expect, or something like that, where then you have the opportunity to fight back after
I
that.
mean, honestly, that actually sounds like a really good game cuz but then again, that sounds more like a horror themed thriller type game. Is that very similar to how like Resident Evil 7 is? I haven't played it, but are they fairly
Yeah,
similar?
yeah, I would say so in terms of you can fight back.
Look,
Okay,
we've
so
established I don't do horror, but I feel like it's the same principle as like, and you guys can disagree with me if you want, but I am not a fan of the Flood in Halo, and it's as close as horror and thriller gets for me for a game I still enjoy.
Huh. Yeah, I wouldn't. It has horror. It has horrific elements, but I wouldn't say it crosses over into anything other than action.
For
no.
me, the flood is more so just more disgusting than it is horror. Like it
Yeah.
just grosses me out.
I think I associate horror with disgust to a certain degree.
Dead Space
Which
is pretty gross.
Actually,
Yeah.
hold on. Now that we've actually talked about this, I do have a question. So,
Mhm.
if so, I'm not gonna say the Flood is the horror because I haven't really played Halo, so I cannot confirm or deny it. But like the rest of the game is just a shooter. And at
Yeah.
Pretty
this
much.
one point, there's just kind of like this horror, like this creepy event that occurs. And that actually brings up a very interesting subject. Shane, do you remember the Hat in Time level?
Yeah.
So,
I,
for the people who do not know, there is a level in Hat in Time. So, Hat in Time is a game where it's very similar to like the Mario 64, where you're going around doing tasks to collect these cool, cute little hourglasses. Well, on one level, it's literally an Outlast style horror game where you're trapped in a house with a creepy ghost lady and you have to solve puzzles so you can get the to the end so you can get the hourglass.
the scariest part of that whole thing was the change in music when she sees you.
Yeah, like it was not cheap. This was not a cheap jump scare. This was a quality horror sequence. So, I guess a good question I have is what really defines the horror game? Is it the whole game being like that, or is that segment just like a horror segment?
I think horror segments are things that exist in a lot of games. If you have
Okay.
really strong villains, you're going to have some occasional horror elements based off the villain type. And I
Okay.
think that that does not define a game as horror if you
Okay.
have a villain that is horrific.
I just thought
Okay.
of a game that doesn't have a horrific villain, but it definitely has a horror sequence.
Which one?
What?
Uh, Uncharted.
Oh, I have not played the Uncharted games, so it just send. If you're gonna talk about it, I will leave and just send in the Discord whenever you're finished.
Are you, so
I-
you are planning to play them then?
Yes.
We don't need to
Okay,
talk about him.
I won't talk about the plot then. I'll just say that
Okay.
at the very end of the game, it just kind of injects horror into it, and it comes out of nowhere, and it's like, what the heck is
Are you
going on?
talking? Are you talking about like the first? Which Uncharted game?
I've played through the first two, and I was specifically thinking about the first one, but even the second one kind of has it. Not to the same extent, though.
Okay. I actually have been thinking about playing the game recently. Enrico has all four, so. Oh yeah. Speaking of Enrico, Shane. Shane, Enrico was asking if you had played Resident Evil 7.
I have not.
That is a game I actually do plan on playing because it looks very good.
He was just curious because he assumed you were a connoisseur of such things.
I feel like I really want to like Resident Evil, but the inventory management pushes me off of it a little bit.
Yeah.
I have Resident Evil 4 and I've been meaning to dive into that just to dip my toes into the RE
He's really
universe.
been he's really been enjoying it. I've been hearing him across the hall screaming, "You old uh, dog,
But not
Oh,
dog.
not dog."
Yeah.
It's killing me, guys, not being able to swear. They're like, "Oh my god."
Hey, this is John's Christian Minecraft
This
podcast server thing, so we gotta keep it clean.
Herbo says no
it's
swearing on
not so
my
much about
Christian
keeping it clean
Discord
as it's
server.
keeping it professional to a
You
certain
just don't want
degree.
your parents to hear us swearing. That's all it is.
Well, you guys can swear all you want. I still don't swear.
That's fair.
You banana boat. There, I said it.
Oh man.
You-
Okay.
You.
One other thing to
Ah.
bring up about I think at this point I've made my stance on horror pretty clear.
Yeah.
And my lack of enjoying it / experiencing it. But there is one aspect of horror I truly do love, and it's the actual craft in it. Like I'm speaking of the sense of like horror movies and how they build these effects and build these props and make the things they do. A lot. So this is quite a few years back. My family we went to Universal Studios and they have this show where they show you how they make realistic looking blood and how they make it look like someone's arm got cut off or like all these other things. And it's super fascinating how they have come up with all these techniques and all these like behind the scenes things that make it one thing appear when another thing happened.
Yeah, I mean, with the advancements in technology alone, the advancements in effects have exponentially grown as well.
Yeah, but if you look at horror movies and stuff nowadays, they have effects like that. There's a good portion that's like computer generated and looks really good. If you go back in time
Yes.
to older movies and look at their effects that look almost or sometimes better than the effects we have nowadays,
Oh.
they're realistic,
I have a
Yeah,
good
r-
example of that.
practical.
Yes,
what?
Shane.
My favorite horror movie of all time is the Thing with Kurt Russell in it,
Oh
Yes.
yes.
and
I've been
part of
trying to.
that is because all of that is real. What's the word? Real effect, not CGI.
They're
Yeah, no,
practical
no.
effects.
Yeah,
Practical, yes, that's the word. And
I
it's
think
all done very, very well.
and
yeah,
yeah,
I remember watching that movie with you. That movie was very quality because it was both a horror film and kind of like a mystery at the same time.
And
because
no
you're trying
one
to
in
figure out
the,
who the thing is.
and no one in the movie was dumb. Like they weren't in trouble because they were dumb.
Yeah.
I
See,
They
want
like,
did the
to
best they could with the threat.
Mhm.
Kind of
what
like Alien, for that matter.
continue on this thread or point, and this is off topic a little bit, but I want to just still explore it a slight amount. What is your guys' thoughts with, for instance, Lord of the Rings versus The Hobbit, and how The Hobbit's like almost 100% CGI, and Lord of the Rings was majority practical effects, and
You know
it's
that
just there's different movies, different video games. Like some video games, they have like motion capture where you have actual people. The moves feel so cemented and real because they motion captured all these things. And how much do you think it's like important to have practical effects versus CGI?
I think in movies it's probably a little bit more important for the CGI just for like, good effects. But I think in games it doesn't really have as much of a spot. Like
I
I mean,
mean,
I guess it depends on what game it is. Like if it's Call of Duty where it's like hyper realistic, sure, I could see a point where it would be necessary, but like Hollow Knight, what are you really
Well,
gonna do?
okay, but like Hollow Knight is not a game that it could be like motion cap. It's a different world.
y-
I'm talking
that
about
that
games that you could
that's
base off
yeah,
of our world.
I
that's
suppose.
sort of like saying like
I
I
suppose.
want real live action effects in my anime. It don't work.
So you're saying if the art style is realism, such as Uncharted or Last of Us, or
Yes, where they're priding
Yeah.
themselves
Yeah.
on having that realism, I could see a purpose for it.
Now I will say this in terms of movies, I kind of prefer it when things aren't CGI,
Mm.
but not things nowadays because to me it seems like it's just not done as well as it was in the old days. Because I watch a lot of like old movies from like the 90s on back, and just
Hmm.
seeing like all the things they managed to accomplish and without the use of computers is just like this is amazing. And then you look at some of the movies that are made nowadays, and you're like, you guys have like a massive, humongous, stupid leap in technology compared to this movie, and yet this is utter garbage.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
What
yeah.
happened?
I do kind of agree with that. Some old movies were very well made, but
Like my favorite,
I,
Demolition Man.
I
Demolition
think
Man,
there's a certain
Yeah, with Sylvester
craft.
Stallone, dude. It's
I never,
awesome.
I don't think I've
I
seen that movie.
I think there's a certain craft that's involved. So, you look at Star Wars and you look at it over the course of CGI implementation and practical effects of like the ships being models and such,
Hmm.
and you see how well that movie's aged. Because honestly, it's aged amazing considering how when the original Star Wars came out.
Very true.
Um, and then you see other movies and like the Hobbit movies just already haven't aged that well.
I still like them.
there's a
Like
scene where
they're
the dwarf army comes out and their faces look so wrong.
and this is the point where I think it's a big deal is if you're so Lucasfilm made original Star Wars, their art, all their effects, everything was so integral to the actual acting and the actual plot points. Like they were on staff people all focused on it. And not to this is not to have anything against CGI companies, because by all means CGI companies have done amazing things with some movies. Avengers would not be possible without CGI. And
Very
Avengers, I
true.
think, is a very good example of really well done CGI. Those people really
Or
cared
movies
about
in
their art.
space. Movies in
Yeah,
space would not be very possible without CGI.
but I think
Fantasy
there's
and
other
sci-fi.
things. Oh, yeah, actually, that's a big
Oh yeah.
thing. Sci-fi specifically, CGI has an extremely big place in it. However, I think that's maybe where we actually could see the big difference is if you're looking at fantasy lore, I don't want to see as much CGI. Like you can do CGI for the magic and stuff, sure, but do we need to see CGI for like how their cloak flaps in the wind or this
No.
giant army
No,
being
Here's a
made.
good example. Here's a good example. Warcraft versus Lord of the Rings.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my goodness.
The orcs in Lord of the
Oh,
Rings are amazing. The
They
orcs in
are.
Warcraft just look wrong.
They do. It's so bad. Like,
I
and
don't
that's
think
the
it's
crazy
equal
thing.
to
I
Warcraft.
enjoyed Warcraft, but it just was not the same quality.
It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
There's a clear difference there.
Now I will say a lot of people did go into Warcraft with the wrong intention of what the movie was supposed to be,
That is true.
because a lot of them were thinking, "Oh, it's going to be like World of Warcraft." It was supposed to be like the RTS games, which it was to a point. So,
I mean, we can jump into those subjects at a later date, and we maybe have gone too far down this rabbit hole, but I just think it's a big factor of also in horror and what we see nowadays,
Mhm.
that there can be so much into what we consume in a horror genre that you could see a really crappy horror movie that's all CGI based, or you could see like one of the old I feel like horror is one of those genres that has a
well,
lot of really good classics in it that are
even
all practical
nowadays,
based.
there's a lot of good horror movies that aren't like just chock full of CGI, like Get Out.
Yes.
That was a good one.
I
Very,
actually
very
haven't
like-
seen that one, but once again, I also don't watch horror, so
Oh, speaking of horror, John, you might not want to participate in anime night this week.
oh great.
We're gonna watch the Dead Space movie.
I'm okay with this.
Is that a
Okay.
prequel? Is where's the timeline in there?
It's a prequel to the first Dead Space game,
Okay, so
So
there's not any
and I
spoilers.
really hope you like seeing someone get cut in half,
I
because
don't
there's a
like
very
that.
vivid scene with that.
No one should like that. Let's just establish this off the board. You
Okay,
psychopaths like that.
let me rephrase. I hope you aren't going to vomit when you see it,
Okay.
That's a fair assessment. There you
Yeah.
go.
because
I
it's
don't know.
very graphic.
I do like it in Doom whenever you're chainsawing zombies.
Yeah.
There's different realms, I think, in
Actually, I
horror,
say
and
we're
I
gonna
don't
watch the
think
Dead Space movie. I have to make sure I still have access to it on something. real
there's a
quick.
different realm of horror versus violent. Is Doom horror, or is it violent, or is it both?
It's horror.
It's horror if you're a demon.
Oh
Yes,
that's fair.
exactly.
Because
Or
you're just
in it-
sitting there
or
one
in-
day with your demon buddies, and you're like, "Oh, this is great," and all of a sudden you just hear rip and tear, and you're like, "Oh God."
Yeah, no,
Oh,
no. This
no.
game is a horror film if you're a demon or a god.
Very true.
It's a thriller for the Doomslayer.
Ooh, that's a problem. Ooh,
All
the
right.
Dead Space movie isn't on Netflix anymore. That's an issue. Oh well,
Oh, that sucks.
I'll find it somewhere else.
Shane, you're the one leading this one. So, and what else? Do you have anything else that you want to cover in this subject, or do we want to start wrapping this up? What's
I mean, my initial thought was how it's just weird that it's seasonal, but we kind of diverged. But that's fine.
do we want? I mean, we can talk about that. I honestly don't know. Like, it is really weird, and like it's a thing that happens in a lot of different ways. It's not just horror. It's not just Christmas. I mean, Easter to a certain degree. 4th of July, the most American of ridiculousness it gets. Like idiotic.
How, for some reason, Americans all want to eat hamburgers and hot dogs on that week.
Well, that's
And
just tradition.
launch
It's the same.
really
Reason
deranged.
it's the same reason we eat turkey on Thanksgiving.
I mean,
I don't even like turkey, so
yeah,
Me neither.
turkey's
I can take it or
meh.
leave it.
No, I don't like it, but it's the same reason we eat turkey on Thanksgiving. It's like it's just
It's
tradition.
just something. It's something that's been done for generations and generations, and
I think
probably
but
not going
Halloween
anywhere.
and horror, it just feels like it's a different beast than them in a certain degree, in my opinion. With like
Yeah,
4th of July, it's very historically based. Christmas is extremely historically based, and there is some historical basis for Halloween, but we've jumped really far, like farther along with it than it was original.
yeah, like it's the original celebration was a celebration of the undead or the dead themselves. So I think that's a good reason to why we like horror films and horror things during this season. It's a celebration of dead.
I think this is just me spitballing here, and it could be entirely wrong. But I think it also might be just the time of year with the season changing and like trees are dying. Everything's kind of dying.
Yeah, this is
So
also
it's just kind of it puts you already in this mood of like dealing with the dead, dealing with these horror type topics of death.
true.
Yeah, like this is definitely a kind of decaying season, which also fits the vibe. Like the trees are going to hibernate, the birds are flying away for winter.
I think
It's
that's what
just
you're trying to get at, Shane. Like, it's a vibe that we have, that we
Yeah, it's
get
just a
into.
spooky vibe that for some people it just means they want to drink pumpkin spice. For some people it means they want to watch more horror movies. For some people it just means they want to curl up in a blanket and hibernate.
Like
What's wrong
John.
with that?
exactly. This is
Wait,
the
what?
season where this is this is the spooky vibe check that the world gives us.
Yeah.
It's,
Frankly, I take a little offense to that statement of curling up in a blanket, Jordan, because this is the one time of year I don't want to be inside. This is the time of year I want to be outside doing things.
I mean, with the anime I'm going to show you during this month, you're going to want to curl into a blanket.
Gosh.
Not out of fear. Most of it's going to be out of sheer terror and crying.
fear is terror.
Shane, what is your point? I think we cut you
there's
off.
a difference.
I would be interested to learn what that difference is.
It requires a topic for
want to learn what
Warhammer,
it
but
is?
that is for another time.
Anyways, so yeah, I think we kind of did address then, Shane, what you were getting at.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm looking at the time for how long this is going, and we have time for our last subject, but I think that's about it.
Okay.
And the last subject is a fairly short one anyway.
Yeah. So, Ben, you may not know, you don't really have a lot to add to this since you haven't played the game, but we'll try to relate it best to what you have experienced. But man, Titanfall 2. That's our last subject for today. Is such a good game in the sense of your mechanics that you play through it with, how it feels as you control your pilot, how the graphics look, the story mode itself. All of these things are phenomenal in my opinion of like a really good mech shooting game.
And I think anyone who's played it would agree with you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But we only have Titanfall 2, and then Respawn and all of them went ahead and they made Apex Legends, which in all fairness has taken off, and it's a great game as well.
Yep, fair play to them.
Yep.
Like, congratulations on their success, keep it going. But Titanfall 3, yeah, that'd be nice.
Hell, I don't even care about a third entire game. If I can just get DLC or something that's more story.
I would just be cool with DLC with more Titans, honestly. Like, give us a different variety.
Titanfall 2 has I want to say the coolest story in any first-person shooter game I've ever played.
It's definitely got some of the best level design I've ever seen in first-person shooters.
And it's weird because they take the level theme or design and then they just, when it's done, it's done. You completely move on.
Yeah.
To the next awesome thing.
But
Like
at the
they
same
could have made
time,
a whole game out of that time switching mechanic. But
yeah,
it's just
they also could have made a whole game out of the factory where it's literally making just various arena pieces, landscapes, and houses and stuff.
yeah.
Like just from the size of that facility, that could have been a whole game in and of itself.
And that's not even getting into the part where you're piloting a giant mech.
Yeah.
In
You're
all
just running around a
fairness,
facility.
I've been curious about Titanfall 3, and so I did do a little bit of digging to like see about the possibility. And so while everyone that originally worked on the project seems to be on different projects now, no one said there would never be one. It was never like confirmed like, no, we're done with 2.
Well, yeah, it's because it's not like it's an unsuccessful pile heaping garbage. The only reason it didn't do as well as they hoped is due to the fact of its release date with Call of Duty and I think one of the Battlefields.
Battlefield
Yeah.
5
Yeah,
or 1,
which
whichever one
basically
came
like
out.
you have these two giant titans and this little little child right next to him carrying a bazooka like, I'm gonna show you something really cool. But everyone's looking at these two titans just like beating their chest going like, "Yee, I'm a game."
I think it's funny that you're referring to the 2 games that are not Titan based, but are the Titans in this industry. And then the game that isn't the Titan is the one that has Titans in it.
Yeah, well, it's due to their size and popularity.
Yeah.
And also notice how I made them sound unintelligent because I don't really care for either game.
You've played a ton of Call of Duty with me.
Does not mean I care for it.
Okay, fair enough.
That's a game that all my friends play. You have noticed that I never played that game by myself, though.
Yeah, I suppose that's
Titanfall
true.
2, I have played many, many hours by myself. Like, there's no way of telling on Origin how many hours you have in a game, is there?
I don't know.
I have
don't-
not used Origin, so I don't know.
I don't think there. Oh, there is. I have 86 hours on the Origin app, and probably about how long would you say the campaign is, Shane? Like,
6 hours tops.
yeah. So like 6 hours for a campaign, and then 80 hours of the frontier, and then of the multiplayer. I don't usually like first-person shooter multiplayers, but I do enjoy Titanfall 2s.
That's fair.
Because
I
it's
think
got
it's a game that you when you get into it. So the hard thing about it is it's because it's different. It also makes it a little bit harder to jump into. Speaking
There
as
is a
someone,
learning curve for sure.
yeah,
yeah,
there's a learning curve. Easiest way to do it though is just to hop into that story mode, play through that. Because one, it's amazing. Two, it teaches you the mechanics very well, and you use them quite a bit.
yeah, and so I greatly appreciate the game itself, and I want a third one. I haven't even played through all the story. I've played through the first mission so far, but I already love the game's multiplayer. Which, in all fairness to the game, that's nothing against it. I typically don't play the campaign of games I get. I typically just play multiplayers.
I'm the exact opposite.
Same.
Yeah, this is the odd thing about all three of us. I'm the one who keeps on being like, "Hey, multiplayer this," which we can talk about this another time. But I'm curious if you guys actually would be interested in playing Overwatch then, whenever it brings out the campaign version of it.
I mean, I'll play the campaign of it probably, but I'm probably not ever going to get back into the multiplayer stuff of it.
Can't blame me there. Um,
I don't
But
mind
yeah.
PvE multiplayer. I enjoy that, but I
Yeah.
don't really like the competitive stuff that so much.
Yeah, I can understand that. I am the more ranked competitive type gamer, even though I suck at games, than you guys at Overwatch are more achievement storyline focused gamers. And I think the interesting thing is Titanfall 2 kind of falls into all that. And it does it really well.
Its movement is what makes it stand apart, I think. And then
I
you
would
just kind of throw Titans on top of that as like an extra icing on the super awesome cake.
I would agree.
Yep.
Like I mean, you guys can testify or like vouch for this. I actually like playing outside of my Titan more than I like playing inside my Titan. So I'll just set it to Sentry mode and have like that special core so we can use its abilities. And then I just go and I shoot off and fight things. Which I mean, I die faster sometimes, but it's way more fun to me to just be able to wall run and jump all over and like rodeo Titans.
Yeah, the wall
And
running is very, very fun.
and to
It's
explain the movement to someone who hasn't played it, such as Ben, um, take the movement from Doom Eternal. You know how you have dashes?
Yes.
Basically, if you're in a Titan, you have those dashes, but if you're just as a person, you have wall running and double jump and grappling
Basically,
hooks.
if there's a flat
Okay.
surface, you can run on it, except for ceilings. But that's where the grappling hook comes into play.
Flat means
Okay.
vertical as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
Fair enough.
It,
Okay.
So
it's
it's
uh
super
Like
fast and flowy and hard to explain if you haven't played it.
you are Call of Duty Spider-Man.
yeah, because I have spent many a multiplayer match never touching the floor on a map, just running
Nice.
around the ceilings, the walls, and everything, just
I
flying
can believe
around.
that.
So
That's
most
not
people, when you think about first-person shooters, you think about the shooting. In Titanfall, it's a lot more about the movement.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about the movement, how you use your Titan, all that sort of fun
for
stuff.
people if you don't know either of like what we're referring to in any of those cases. Because Overwatch is a slightly more popular known game in general. It's Lucio wall riding, or it's anything that's like if you have a video game character that can run on walls, they implement that mechanic fantastically.
Yep.
So, okay,
And then
we are at the hour mark, so we can continue talking, but let's keep on.
Yeah, just
close
keep
it
on
up.
topic.
one last closing thing is no other game does mech mechanics as well as Titanfall that I know of. Like there are games like Override where you literally play as a third person mech, but it just ends up feeling like a third person poor controls brawler rather than playing as a giant mech.
Yeah, I have played
That's
a
true.
fair amount of mech games, and the best ones I've found so far are like the RTS ones, where you're not even actually in full control of the mech, but you get to see it do all its thing, and it's like really cool. But in terms of like first person controlling the mech and all that stuff, Titanfall does do it the best, in my opinion.
It
I
has
can't
no
think of any
equal.
other game where you play as a mech but also in first person. They always end up being outside of the
The,
mech.
the only other one I can think of is Mech Warrior Online, but that's it's an okay game. It's not what it was
And
meant to be,
and that
but
is why Titanfall stands out above all those things, because it's not just okay, it's phenomenal in mechanics, in execution, in story mode, and in multiplayer.
It found its niche and it dominated it thoroughly.
mhm.
So
But
that
it released right next to two other first person shooters that are
With
completely
a
vanilla bland and somehow better in terms of sales.
yeah, it's because
it's
they've been going on for longer, and the other reason Titanfall 2 I think didn't do as well is because the first Titanfall was purely multiplayer.
Yep.
Like there wasn't frontier defense, there wasn't a story or anything like that. And then the second one released, and people were like, "Oh, okay, it's probably just gonna be more of this." And they're like, "Oh, it's got a story. Okay, this is cool. Oh, it's got a wave-based PvE thing. This is pretty cool too."
So it's just super unfortunate how a gem of a game got
Launched.
overlooked for so
sidelined.
many different reasons.
Its launch date was not a good one.
And its
It's
sequel status to another game that was okay at best.
and
Yeah.
I'll admit I'm one of those people that did not give it its due when I saw it come out, because I mean, granted, I wasn't in the position to really afford a lot of new games at the time. I think when did Titanfall 2 come out? Like 2014, 2016?
It was right
Yeah.
next to Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, I think.
So I'd say that's probably 2014.
October 28th, 2016 was the release date of Titanfall 2.
Shoot, I'm old. So yeah, it's just really unfortunate timing. But I mean, from the perspective of someone who did not initially get into it, I can understand why someone looking at it and not seeing the mechanics for what they are would not appreciate it in the same way, because it's one thing to watch it and be like, okay, it's just like other games. It's another thing to play it and feel how clean it is and how much like you feel powerful in the game. That's something it gives you. That's just like it's odd, but you feel it.
Yeah.
I would
And
say anyone who enjoys Doom should give Titanfall a try.
I feel like this is advertising towards me.
It is a little bit, yeah. I mean, the campaign is super short. The game's pretty cheap, honestly. I would say give it a try.
One of us. One of us.
Anyone who's named Ben and has the existence of these specific games.
Just because I know you aren't typically like a first-person shooter person, and neither
Yeah.
am I, but Titanfall 2 is very much worth the try.
Oh,
Yeah.
guys, I
To be
understand.
honest,
It's
I
not.
don't even know what game this is. Like I know the existence of. I've heard the name. It's just I don't even know the game that you're talking about. I looked up a picture and I'm still just as confused.
So, something because I was 2016 was the year Titanfall 2 came out same time as Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, not Advanced. And it came out
I
same
mix them
time
up.
as
They're all the same to me.
I mean, it's all that's fair.
Lol.
But here's the big deal about it. For that year, Infinite Warfare was the most hated game. But same time frame, Battlefield 1 came out and it was praised. It had all the backing. It had everyone involved in, oh, this game is awesome. And Titanfall 2 just kind of got thrown to the wayside.
pretty much.
Just a darn shame.
I think partially it's Infinite Warfare was based off the futuristic spacey stuff, and Titanfall just was too close to that, like not even specifically style, but too close to that genre, versus Battlefield was a return to like realistic looking. and that's probably another reason why, beyond just the fact that it was a smaller competitor, that it just did not give the due it's deserved.
Okay, I guess I might check it out then.
Yeah, welcome to the end of the show, guys, where we just basically sang the praises of Titanfall 2.
I will
And
always sing its praises.
and I would say start with the campaign, because the first time I ever played it was with the Frontier thing, and I
Yeah.
really did not know what I was doing at all, and I
There's a
didn't
lot of controls to figure out.
it
Yep.
didn't click for me until I played the campaign.
Yeah, the campaign does an excellent job of teaching you how to do stuff.
I will admit, because I introduced into me and Shane both started in multiplayer, and it is really hard jumping into multiplayer playing it. I think I was a little bit better off because I instantly changed all my controls to be Overwatch based, and because I have so much experience in that world of 3D movements in Overwatch, I was able to transfer a lot faster.
Especially if you're a Lucio character.
I mean, he's just fun to play. I'm not a main with him, but he's fun. All right. So we covered Minecraft, Steve. Believe it or not, that was during this podcast. Feels like a ways ago.
Yep.
We also talked about entire horror, the genre of movies and games, and now we've also gone through Titanfall 2 and how we love the game and are very sad that we could not get a sequel, at least no time in the near-come future we can see. So with that, I think that's the end of this podcast. Thanks to everyone for joining and coming and giving us your ears to listen to us both rant and praise all these games that we have grown to love. And we hope to see you back in future weeks. Shane, you have anything to add?
Good chat, boys.
Good chat.
All right. Good deal.
Good chat.
And with that, let's sign off. See y'all later.
See ya.
Bye.